Hello and welcome to my energy read for the month of May 2024. And I want to begin this energy read by just sharing with you the first thing that's going forward for me. There's actually 5 themes, but there's something ahead of that needs to be said. And that is there's a strong energy here of really bringing forth more of our light, bringing forth more of our light. Our light being the essence of who we are, our soul, our unique perspective, our individuality. And that is something that we do through our expression of ourselves. It's the things that we say, it's how we are with people, but it's also more than that. It's also an energy that comes through us, comes out of us and through us, and is part of who we are. And there, it feels like we are really entering a time, but also through this month, this is feeling like it wants to be turned up. If we are willing to be with that, sit with that, and allow that. Because as I've sat here to share this message with you today, I feel like personally, and this may resonate for many who are in my soul group, my soul family, there is sometimes a real challenge and an edge that we meet when we want to be more authentic, more our true selves, more of our soul selves. I have actually pressed record on this video about 5 times already because there's a message that wants to come through that's really meeting my human self. And that human self is it's like a membrane. I've got this light inside me that feels like it wants to come out, and it wants me to say certain words. It wants me to express the message that I'm receiving in such a way that my mind and my human self is like, you can't say that. You can't put a message out that is speaking like that. And so I've been sitting here with myself for a little while, just being like, oh, how interesting. And I offer you that as a way to really sit with yourself. This phrase or statement, how interesting. It kind of is a way for us to hold ourselves with a little more lightness, compassion, and curiosity when we really meet our edges. And I keep doing this with my hand because I've sensed this literally as like this sort of boundary, this barrier that I can feel this inner part of me pushing up against and this outer part of me pushing back against. So I really wanted to just share that first and foremost, because some of the topics here are the themes which I haven't really got the full message of yet. I do these in real time, feel very much like, or at least in the expressing of what the first message was, it wants to talk about the light that we are, the souls that we are, the energy centers that we are. And I love that stuff. I totally believe that stuff. I work with that stuff. And yet here I am in this moment wanting to share this message with you. And I'm meeting a human edge. I'm meeting a part of my ego, a belief, a thought, what's another word that I can use? Just a part of myself that's just like doesn't feel comfortable fully. The word is that it's using exposing myself by speaking in this way. It's really pushing back on me. So I want to share that with you first and foremost, because we are moving into a time collectively where your unique and authentic expression is what you're basically here to do. It is needed in the world. Now, it's more than just the fact that you like to wear red or you like to go on picnics on Sundays and, bake and take all your friends, and that's, your way of being you. That's part of it, but it's actually a little bit more. It is about expressing the deepest part of who we are as a form of energy, as a form of light. And you can see my face, my human face, pull these faces when I hear myself say these things. And I'm, again, sharing this with you because being our authentic selves, bringing forth this light, bringing forth these different kinds of conversations can meet our human edges, right? And our human parts like, no, don't do that. Don't say that. Don't be weird. Don't be weird, right? I want to know, first and foremost, have you ever thought that about yourself? Don't be weird. Have you ever had someone tell you, don't be weird? I think I may have actually been called weird at school. My friends meant it lovingly. I actually did embrace being weird at some point. Couldn't help it. I was strange. It was a bit different. But I have internalized that as, is something to be afraid of, really claiming the weirdness that is me. So I just sharing this again as a way for me to kind of like call myself out, and not in a shaming way, but in a way of like, here's what it feels like sometimes to be your authentic self. You're meeting an edge. You're meeting yourself. You're meeting your own boundaries. You're meeting your ego's ideas of who you should be and how you should be. But one of the first themes here, and I'll just read you all 5, they are signs of brilliance, epic makeover, internal drive, fostering new relationships, and bedding down in practices. The first one, signs of brilliance, is about bringing forth more of your soul, more of your brilliance, more of the light that you are. And I do this with my hands because this is an energetic thing. It is really, really allowing the deepest truth of who you are to be what you bring forth. Now, I bring forth that from here at the solar plexus, the energy of our, sense of self, our identity, our confidence, for me, it's a real center of grounding in who we are. Here again at the heart space, what it is we so deeply desire to express. There's energy at the third eye, and that is very much about, how we then as a soul can envision a future, a world, what we want to see in the world, what we want to create, and our unique perspective on things. That then brings us to the throat center, which is about then how can I combine heart, our vision, and our voice. Voice, one way to express, but to bring forth ideas, to bring forth messages, meaning, words, poetry, creations, conversations, ideas. I don't know, I want to do this as well. It's like pulling out like some of these things that we hide behind us, behind our ego, behind our this is how I should be in the world, and like bring forth these like magical, unique, and special things that are who we are individually as a soul. And really beginning to feel and sense and know and value what a gift our individuality is, our uniqueness is, our authenticity truly is. There's more energy coming here at the solar plexus. And it's about also these signs of brilliance is really feeling like we plant our feet, because I get an image here of feet, like sturdy pair of boots here at the solar plexus. How we can find a way to feel grounded in our essence. And here's my human self coming in as going, you're saying crazy things that don't make sense. So I'm just going to keep talking and give you this real-time example of what it's like to, be in this like push-pull energy of there's something that wants to come out of me, and there's something that wants to also like dampen that and like push it back in. So signs of brilliance really begin to, the offering for us this month for this particular theme is here, it's all here in the heart space. I want you to spend some time this month, if you feel this resonates and you really want to start to step more into your own authentic expression, or to just really feel like you're letting go of conditioning, programming, and you've got this sense, and it's a very kind of heady experience of like, you're different. And actually, that's really something you want to start to really be more of. And I do, I just feel it like all here. It's kind of like it's heady at the moment. You have these ideas about things. Maybe it's like a different way of living your life. Or this like things like you want to write this book that kind of feels out there. There's something going on up here, and it's about, this, bringing this down and grounding it. I'm going to leave that one at that point because I already am giving myself such a hard time here with this particular message. The other thing that I want to say too is that when we meet our edges like this, when we meet this ego part of us, the challenge is that it is judging us second by second by second as we do the more authentic thing, as we speak in a way, share in a way, talk in a way, be in a way, something that feels in here so aligned and true and like I don't know, it has this different energy. And yet we've got this other aspect of us that's just like, what are you doing? That's crazy. This is what's happening to me in real time right now. And so I'm sitting here and I'm judging everything that I've said so far and finding it difficult in some ways to continue. But I'm going to continue because here's how you be the authentic you. Here's how you share the things that are in your heart that you want to share. You keep going. So let this be an example of how you do it imperfectly while feeling all the feelings. Because I think we really wait to have a sense of confidence. We wait to have this sense of, I feel good about that. But we don't get there until we've kind of pushed through the pushback, the resistance. We can't wait for the resistance to go away. It's not going to go away on its own. We have to face it. We have to move through it. So, signs of brilliance. Start to really tap into, pay attention to more and more of what is the light inside of me that wants to come forth. What is this unique expression that wants to come through in my voice and the things that I share, that I say, how I am with people. What are these visions that I'm having personally that feel like things I want to begin to give more of my focus and my energy to, because there's something about the quality of this, that this is a somewhat unique perspective on things that you have, that kind of circulates back here, right? We can see something uniquely in our own way that we really actually at a soul level want to express, talk about, be more involved in, give our energy to. And then we've got this throat activation and being part of this too, because we've got to get the energy out of us. It's one thing to see it, it's one thing to feel it, but we've got to begin to express. I want to also say that expressing that doesn't always need to be verbal, it could be written, but there's something about the voice and hearing yourself say it, speaking the energy into the world. So that is my explanation on signs of brilliance. Epic makeover is the next one. And the image that comes forward for me for epic makeover is us with a backpack on. Strange. Don't know what backpacks have to do with epic makeovers. However, what's coming forward with that is we are feeling this sense of bravery. Bravery is accessible for us this month. And it takes bravery. We need to be brave to begin to, and the words that come forward here are step outside of the norm. We have to be brave. We have to be bold in some ways as well. We have to be ready to take shit and take no shit, was the message that came through there. Take shit in the sense that I see around us, much like my ego coming in, telling me not to say things, maybe people in our lives kind of, as we started on our path forward of being brave and taking maybe a more unique path, our authentic path, following what feels really, really right for us outside of the norm, that there's people coming in kind of trying to get on the path and tell us what we're doing is wrong, silly. The other word that came forward was frivolous, but that's not the word that I was thinking. like we're just really being like, we haven't got our head screwed on straight, we haven't thought things through. That's people are going to give us shit. But your role in this brave aspect is to be like, well, I'm not going to take that shit. I'm not going to take any shit from anybody. There's a sense of like this bravery and this boldness feels like it gives us this, I want to say, buffer, this boundary, kind of like we've got, an energetic bubble around us, that when we really, really in our hearts commit with a sense of conviction to, following what is truly unique for us in a world where there's a whole lot of noise and there is a lot of distraction, I want to say, and I want to say a lot of things that can pull us into feeling trapped is a word, held down, held back, like we kind of have these obligations that we think we have to, or kind of keep us tethered to the old, to the past, to where we are. And yet there's this wanting to stride out on our own, this wanting to move forward. And so this boldness and this bravery feels very grounded and feels almost like a shield we can put over ourselves energetically to begin to move forward. Now, I do this and it feels like actually taking those first few steps feels actually kind of like hard. Like we don't have the muscles in our legs, they're not strong enough. The boots we're wearing are too heavy. The ground we're walking on is like really muddy, so the shoes stick. The first few steps when we're feeling or tapping into this sense of bravery and boldness doesn't feel like easy in a sprint. It can feel like a hard slog. So this epic makeover is boldness and bravery to really give our focus to, and I also get this energy around my ears of like tuning out the noise. And again, maybe the shit that people are giving you for wanting to follow your own path, we kind of like tune that down. I want to do this with my hands and feel like we're only like listening to what we need to listen to, not in a kind of like, this is a very Japanese hand gesture of like, like got no idea kind of way. We're not trying to be put blinkers on and ignorant of what's going on around us. It's just that we have the full awareness of the big picture, and yet we're choosing just to give the majority of our focus to something else, while our peripherals are still fully open and able to see what's going on beside us. A sense of people maybe like, the talk and the noise, and yet we can cut through that with our vision and our intention to even drown out some of the noise, only tuning into what is actually supporting you. Because within all the noise that we have in the world around us at the moment, there are higher frequency, there are high vibrational messages out there that are helping us to move forward. And it's about learning how to discern, lots of discernment, to say what is going to support me to move forward. What is actually in alignment with where I'm moving forward, and what do I want to tune into. So this is really not about, I want to say, a sense of ignorance and like just ignoring things. It is more about a real alignment to and discernment, right? It's choosing that this is what I'm going to, this feels good for me right now, knowing that might change. Just keep discerning. How does this feel in my body, so that I can move forward. The next theme was internal drive. Let me see what comes through on internal drive. And so when I say that out loud, I get an image of a highway. And the word superhighway comes forward. I don't know what a superhighway is. And in this particular image that I see, it's just that the lanes on the highway are actually quite wide. I don't see any other traffic on this highway. I just see a big highway. Let me see what is here for us, internal drive. And so when I ask that question, actually it really feels like what internal drive represents in this image of the highway is actually we're being drawn and pulled forward. There is this imagery of us getting ourselves into this bold, brave bubble to set our eyes on our unique path forward, once we've listened to that call of that signs of brilliance, and then we get onto this super highway, and it's kind of like we're in the zone, and it feels like I just get this rush of energy forward. Like once we can get ourselves to that point, there is energy that's really, really pulling us forward. Now, what that energy is my sense, my feeling here is, the words that come forward is this real alignment with truth. And I put one hand on my heart here, and I've got another hand on my solar plexus once again. These two parts of us, these two energy centers within us, really feeling revved up. Funny that they use the word revved up when we're talking about a super highway. So I want to suggest to you in this moment too, do you work with your own energy centers? Have you ever done anything with your chakras? Do you have a practice that helps you sense energy in your physical body? Have you ever stopped to question the energy you feel in your physical body? A way that we can begin to work with energy in our bodies to make it easier for us to feel, to sense, to understand, to get messages from, is to start to work with it. Simple exercise practice that you can do is, if you feel it's kind of like, butterflies in your stomach or energy in your stomach, put your hands there. Like, what is here? We all have an ability to sense and read energy, and it is just about attuning ourselves. It is just about starting to practice it, pay more attention. What I like to do when I've got my hands on whatever part of my body I'm feeling, energy with, is just like asking the question, like, what is here? We have all got also clair senses. I see things. I also hear things. I sometimes see words. You might just have this knowing of things. And again, these clair abilities are things we can develop because you have to practice them, right? You've got them, and you've probably got no awareness that you've got them. That's how it was for me when I first started. But once I was aware that, oh gosh, I can see things and I do feel things, and I began working with them, it's kind of like you turn up the volume on them, and one of those senses will be stronger than the other. But for me, when I do that, like if I put my hands there, I get imagery. It's sometimes abstract and obscure, but if you stick with it, there's a story, and there's maybe metaphor in there, there's feeling, there's things that you can begin to understand about. What is the message that this part of me is trying to bring forth for me? So just circling back to what I said at the start, I'm having another one of those, my God, you just said that moments from my ego. So that hasn't gone away through this message. So internal drive, where we've really got ourselves to this place of like stepping onto this highway, and then there is this sort of force. We are now almost like, I want to say, there's this deeper alignment connection to, with our soul's path, with the universe, God, whatever you want to call it. That if we can be bold and we can be brave and we can like take one of those really hard steps forward, those slow slog steps forward, it's like, energy will be there to meet us. So something to contemplate, that if we are bold and brave enough to follow what our heart and our soul and our voice really wants us to share, express, be, there is something outside of us waiting for us to help support that process. So the next theme is fostering new relationships. And so this is a beautiful one as we really get ourselves onto that highway, as we really commit to that path, as we really show up for the signs, is the word coming forward, of and the images of the superhighway, like signposts literally, but instead of a stop sign, it's like a light bulb. And we move towards that, and then we get there and we're like, it's like the image they're showing me is like playing a computer game, and like, the light bulb is something you can chomp, and then, you get more points, or you get some little jewels or whatever. So really looking for signs is still part of fostering new relationships, although it's on the superhighway from internal drive. And it's again this image of like these signposts along the way, these lights really accelerate the process, because we literally chomp the light like in a computer game, and then we get to these like rewards, these jewels, these extra powers like in a computer game. Now, coming back to fostering new relationships, what I also see then is that there's different sort of stages on this journey. Like there's these new people. And I see that as each time we reach this sort of point, and when I say point, it's kind of like we've grown, we've changed, we've evolved in some way, small or big, and never discount the small evolutions, those tiny steps you're taking towards your truth. They are just as powerful as any moment you have that feels like an absolute revelation. You must take those small evolutionary steps, have these tiny little bits of growth to get to a point where you feel like you've come a long distance. Do not discount every tiny incremental step forward. So coming back to what I was saying, these people we are meeting along the way, right? There's this feeling of every time we take this step forward, like we're kind of like, it is like trying on new shoes. It's like learning how to walk in a new way. It's like learning how to, almost like learning to walk again, because it's a different version of you, right? It's a more authentic version of you, and it can be wobbly because there's an ego and old beliefs and patterns kind of holding us back, and we're kind of having to walk or something's pulling from behind, right? That's not easy. Like I said, it's not some confident stride out into the future. It is like feeling a sense of conviction, being brave, boldness. What does that mean to you? What does it mean for me to be bold? To then use that as this sort of like protective bubble to hold ourselves in as we take those, challenging steps forward. But then as we do that, there are these people along the way that the vision I get, not only do we get to that light bulb or that light post along the path and get the jewels, but these people that we meet as well, the visual I get is like there's things that come out of their mouth. And I hear it and feel it in the ear of like, it's almost like there are people we're going to meet on the journey that have something to share with us, that have something to say, that is something that we can hear, that, how I said before, we were going to tune into just, a finite stream to cut out all the noise. Meeting these certain people as we travel along this path means that what we're hearing here starts to open again, but it's kind of like, the visual that I get, I want you to imagine that there's like dark cloud all around you, right? Dark cloud all around you. And yet you've got these two light beams sticking out of your ears. My ego's like, I can't believe you're saying this right now. This is what I see. Light beams sticking out of your ears. And these light beams coming out of your ears are, this stream of sound that you're choosing to tune into, right? You've really been discerning of like, no, there is truth out there. There is alignment out there. And this is one of my connections to it, right? Because there's a lot of noise. We've got to find something to feel like, no, here's my truth points, right? I don't know if that's several people, one person, whatever. As we take these steps forward, as we really be our authentic selves, as we commit to that path, we meet these people who, again, I get a lot of energy in the heart space, are in alignment with the journey we're on. They offer us pieces of information, advice, a story, a tale, an insight, wisdom. And I do want to do this, and like our mind expands, our thoughts expand, our own sense of the world or perception, and I kind of want to pull this actually in all directions out of my head, begins to expand. And that tiny little light beams sprouting out of your ears into the cloud around you begins to become bigger. And I see it kind of like go from a single beam of light to kind of like a thick cable, with different kind of thread on it, different colors. And it kind of really cuts through the cloud to the other side. And it's like really connected to something else, something bigger. Now, when I say that, to me, that is a more direct connection to everything that is outside of, some of this collective energy that is more dense in nature, more low vibrational, more keeping us stuck. We are moving out of so much, what is the word? We are moving out of this darker fear-based energy into something else. So this is helping you be more connected to what else exists, to cut through the noise, to feel more connected to the source of all that is. And again, my ego's like, you just said that. What the? Yeah, the source of all that is. This is a spiritual path. I'm on a spiritual path. If you're watching this, you're most likely on a spiritual path. So you're going to get it. So I'm giving myself, not a hard time, even though my ego's like, people are going to think you're wacko. If they think I'm wacko, then they're not my people, right? Okay. Fostering new relationships. Let me see if there's anything else here on that. When I asked that question, these people really are key people in our life. The way that they kind of come in and the visual I see of them is like, when I see their bodies, like the image of them is really bright, dense, vibrant, alive. It's not kind of like looking at a shadowy, transparent, like a memory. They're very real, very grounded, very present, very integral is the word, parts of our life. So be on the lookout for those people too. Now, as I said that, there's a real feeling here too that this part of the path might feel for you as though it's like, I'm never going to get there. I'm never going to have those kind of people in my life where my heart lights up. They get me, they understand me, they don't judge me. They also feel like people to me who help me to truly expand, because, we have conversations from here up. If you're feeling that right now because the cloud around you, what feels dark and heavy and impossible to move through, just know that it's closer than you think. And the message really is like, it is about this sort of like, how can you step into that bubble of bravery and boldness to just kind of like, it's almost like putting on a raincoat, or an umbrella over your head to walk through that storm. It's going to feel a bit lonely at first because you're going somewhere someone's never been, perhaps, in your setting, in your family circle, in your friend circle. And that is part of this path. Sometimes we have to do part of this journey alone. And just know that these people are there not too far down the path. The last theme is bedding down in practices. And so that theme, when I tap into what that message is two things. Here in the throat and lots of energy behind me. And interestingly, the image is like, I get an image of my dog sticking her head out the window of a moving car. And when she does that, her fur flows back, and she looks very pointed. Her nose is forward and like all the hair is flowing back. That's the image I get for this. Now, what that really feels like is a couple things. As I said at the start of this video, when we come up against our ego, when we come up against our stuff, it feels like to me, or it felt like to me, like a membrane, kind of like a squishy outer membrane that says, don't exceed this boundary. Don't shed your light any further than that. It's not safe. What we're talking about now is literally bringing our head up to that boundary, like my puppy does, like pushing our head through so that we've got this energy like this behind us, right? This membrane, we're pushing our head through so much that this membrane is kind of like, the hair trailing behind us. So bedding down in practices, what does this have to do with this imagery? I'm going to ask and see what they want to say about that. So speaking the truth in your heart is part of that. Really not giving up on what you believe is right for you, whether people understand that or get that or not. And really aligning yourself to the path and the work that you know you're here to do in the world. Because the message here really is like, it's time, it's time, it's time, it's time, it's time. There's so much time we spend thinking and waiting, and ruminating is a word, and that time has come to an end. It's really like, it's now. It's so now. It has begun. And in some ways, the visual that's coming forward for me and the feeling is that, and that membrane is now getting sort of easier to pierce through. It's not really a membrane at all. It's such the time now that barrier is starting to dissolve. And so the feeling and the visual is it's going to dissolve anyway. So you can begin to just be like, you know what? I'm free to be who I need to be. I am free to, and I just want to do this, like pull something out from behind me. What is it that we've been standing in front of ourselves? How have we been getting in our own way? How have we been trying to protect ourselves? How has our ego been trying to protect part of us that is so ready and ripe to come forth in the world? Again, when I come back to that, there's energy in the solar plexus, and it's about really the bedding down in practices is what does keep you grounded. And again, I see a pair of boots on dirt. What keeps you grounded? What brings you into your sense of self? What brings you into your body to know yourself even in your own form? How can you be more and more present to your life through your body, and from that express in a like slow, steady way what it is you're here to share, what it is you're here to say. So there's this real grounding element to bedding down in practices. What keeps you grounded? What is it that brings you in, gives you a deeper sense of self? What keeps you connected and anchored to the solar plexus sense of self? I want to also say here that that part of us, depending on the life that we've had when we're younger, may not always feel like a developed and safe place. As I've worked with people in the Akashic Records, I sometimes see, and it's often that I see like shoes or feet, as I said, in this energy center, but sometimes I see them like not touching the ground. So I'm going to offer you that as a practice, as a meditation, placing your hand on both hands on your solar plexus, closing your eyes, breathing deeply 3 times, and then breathe into that energy center. And like just imagine that you're breathing in light to it. In, and then breathing out, breathing light in, breathing it out. And then asking yourself a question: how connected am I here? What does this part of me need me to know about creating a greater sense of connection with who I am? And then just sit to receive an answer. Again, you might see that visually, you might hear something, you might sense something, you might have one emotion come forth, a word, and just let that be okay. Don't judge it, don't dismiss it, just whatever. It might not come at all, it might be nothing to start, but just come back to that. It's a practice, it's an attunement, it's learning how to sense. There is information available to us, it's our energy. Just be patient. So that is my energy read for the month of May. Very different to what I've done in the past, but I have felt called to sit with things a little deeper. This is a much longer recording, and definitely one that feels a little bit more unique and authentic to me, in the sense that this is part of the way that I talk, actually. Maybe not out in public very often, but definitely to people who have readings with me. And I too am feeling this call of a deeper need, desire to be more authentic. And here I am. It felt challenging and hard. and I judged myself most of the time that I just shared this message. There's a voice in the back of my head saying, people are going to think this is totally weird. They're not going to get it. They're just going to probably not want to watch it. And in the past, I might have just not posted it and just left it at that. But that's not really how it works. You don't necessarily have to go on a video and tell your deepest, darkest, most, things to a video and share it on the internet. But that is part of my path. So I am just trying to be honest and real here with you as I be more authentic, express more of this spiritual side of myself, talk about the fact that we are souls and that we're actually light, and we are consciousness, we are energy. Many of us here are here to express more and more of that in the world. I'm still learning about it. As I do, I can share more, but that's what it's going to be today. So what I'd love is to know, if you did watch all the way through this very long video, if any of that resonated with you. Do you feel and resonate with any of the particular messages? Have you sensed any of those things before? How do you feel working with your own chakras? Do you feel energy? Do you have any of your clairsenses? Choose any one of those questions that I just said and leave me a comment. I would love to interact with you and hear more. So I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for listening. Please do like, subscribe, share, all of those good social media things to help me get these messages out to more and more people. And I'll speak to you in the next video. Thank you so much.